Hi, and welcome again to my final Learn and Grow Snappy Chat for 2025. I can't believe we're already at the end of the year, but here we are, and I am so excited. I have my wonderful friend Zev Halpern right here to talk to us. I've known you, I think, for about 3 or 4 years through the wonderful Ibutsia, and I've had the pleasure of working with you as well. So I know you pretty well, and I know that you are just a man full of heart and full of experience that we can all learn from in terms of our mindset and our emotional well-being as well. So I'm super excited to have you here, Steph. So please share a little bit about who you are to the audience,
So
please.
first of all, thank you for having me. And yes, I have worked with you, and you do some amazing things. And I would also say that a lot of us are solopreneurs out here, and solopreneurship is it's lonely. And if you don't have mentors or people who you can see things like on this Snappy Chat and kind of understand and live vicariously through other people who have, all of us who are running businesses have, burdens and successes. We're celebrating and we have our like our heads buried in the ground. It's a roller coaster, and that's how it is. But I thank
That's
you, and I'm sure a lot of other people appreciate the inspiration that you're providing. Um,
uh, Thank you. And you did share exactly why I started this. I did find that for me, it's a lonely ride when you're a solopreneur. And like you said, we all go through similar challenges. So that is actually why I started this, not just for us to come together, but also learn from each other because we share more challenges than we, in terms of building a business. And I just want to say
Absolutely.
hello to Royce. Royce, thank you so much for being here.
So basically, I'm the son of a clergyman, like the son of the preacher man, and I witnessed every day, basically people being helped, whether it was on the fly with watching my father and parents who were community leaders, and they were devoted to helping people, and a lot of people. I had 4 siblings. All of them are in the helping fields, or were in the helping fields at some time or another, because that's pretty much what we saw, and we saw some pretty heavy stuff. Um, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a big combo, of life achievements. I've had plenty of adversity, which we'll talk about. My early roles, I was director of a large residential rehab, drug addicts and of all kinds, and of all rich, poor, equal opportunity destroyer. And I did that, and then I set up a employee assistance service where I was able to work with business and industry. And that was a really interesting time because I saw some real serious problems inside, of the C-suite and inside the union office, and inside all that kind of stuff. Then I've been a licensed psychotherapist for a long time. I maintain a small practice still, which was interrupted by COVID, like everybody. And I was a TV show host. In my community, I had a TV show for couples, which was basically unabashed. I talked about, I said it all. And I still do that on a podcast, with my co-podcast host, Sarah Polyakov. And,
Yeah.
I faced adversity in my life, and I think the adversity, combined with the whole idea of helping, it's one thing when you're helping others through adversity. It's another thing what you learn through your own adversity. Two things that stand out for me are I was in a plane that blew up in Atlanta, Georgia. As it was taxiing, it just before it took off, it blew up. And I saw anyone on that plane, 50 of us, saw our lives pass in front of us. It quickly lit on fire. We had to, emergency evacuate. It was traumatic to say the least. I saw, they let you call your families, in this, they guard you and then they take you and you call your family and you go, by the way, I was just in a plane crash. And I said, and yeah, there's funny parts of it, and there's very serious parts of this story, and it's a long story, but it affected me, and it basically I looked at it as another chance, and what I might not have had in that kind of thing. I mean, if you saw this plane burnt to a crisp, you would say to yourself, "You got another chance at life." That lying on that tarmac, and then unfortunately, I lost a daughter to the fentanyl blight, and that is a very, I mean, I share it with thousands of families in the United States, whether it's the world. I just know the United States, thousands of people, and it's young people. It's people between the ages of 16 and 40, and we've lost, and we continue to lose. And people weren't doing anything about it for a while. Now they are, but it resulted really in me writing a book. And I'll talk about that, the book later. But the book really is about adversity, not how it smashes you, but what you do with it, because that's really the end all thing for you. What you do with adversity, not what it does to you, but what you do with it, is really what decides whether you're going to move forward or not.
And that is such a huge insight, because I think as human beings, we are meant to go through adversity. It's not just a joyride, even though we'd probably like it to be. But life is full of adversity, and for good reason sometimes, even if it's not something we welcome. Because at the end of the day, like you said, we can learn from it. It is what actually asks us to stand up, look at ourselves and go, okay, I can go down with it, or I can make something of it, to make meaning of it and to give back from it, right?
And many people go down, because it's just very hard to grab rungs and pull yourself out of, that kind of unhappiness and misery. But if you do, and if you're able, inside of us, I think all of us have superpowers. We don't know it. We don't, and sometimes we need somebody to coach us to reach deep, and find this power grid. And once we find it, that power grid is like it's gold. It will propel you to places that you can't imagine.
And I think that is so important, because if we try to do life alone, it's going to be, I'm not saying there are a few people who can go through life alone and overcome adversity on their own, but I think human being, we are wired for connection and for learning from each other. And it takes, sometimes when we go down, having people around us, whether family or friends, but also professional people like coaches like you. It's so important, because we need somewhere where we can talk to someone to understand ourselves, the situation, and how to move forward, who aren't necessarily caught up in the same emotions as we are if it's someone we lost or something else that happened in our family. So I think having professionals is important in life and business.
I mean, I would plug LinkedIn, when that happened and I lost my daughter, people reached out, certain people, and, my partner, Sarah, reached out. That's really how we came to write a book and to do the things. We've never met, by the way. And I would also say, like, technology is off the chart. You can do anything in business, in organizational things. It doesn't matter. You can be in outer space, and you can be on Earth. And
I've made great friends on LinkedIn. Like, I've made such great friends, and Royce Blake is here, and Moosey is here. Well, great to see you. And Royce and you should actually get together and chat. He's in Phoenix, a little bit further away from you in Washington D.C. But it's so important that we can connect with people, and I think this platform does it really well. But also when we're a solopreneur and in business, right? Getting inspiration from each other, talking to other people who are going through the same and similar experiences.
Collaboration, the move to collaborate is it's scary, because you just don't know. Relationships have up and down. To find somebody even, and to find somebody who shares and understands, and who's not just a take, but a give. In all kinds of ways. I consider myself lucky to have found somebody like that.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've never met, never been in the same room, and have written a book and have done, created a website, it really speaks to how fortunate we are to live at the time that we live in. Even though there's a lot of screwed up things going on during this time, we have luxuries that other
Yeah.
people just, as we creep into AI, and anybody who's crept, into AI, whether you were sleeping and all of a sudden you go, whoa, somebody introduces you, it's beyond belief, what AI can do for a solopreneur.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
It has so many benefits, but I'm wondering with the AI, what's your take on that versus human connection? Because I believe the more we use AI and it becomes robotic, the more we actually will crave human connection too.
Well, I don't know. I haven't completely decided my views about it. Sometimes I look at AI and my own use of it, and it scares me. I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. Are you kidding me? That it comes back with what it comes back with is astonishing. But in terms of there are a lot of negative things that can be done with AIs. If there's a lot of positive things, there's always a lot of negative, and it's happening. And people are fooled, and there's scams, and so it's going to get sorted out. I don't know how. I don't know what's going to be kind of like the thing that gets people to go, this is where this needs to go. I don't know. So I'm still kind of sitting on the fence, using it, trying to understand, and take the good out of it for now.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I just want to say, Needy says collaboration is the move to grow. Well said, Zev. Absolutely. So collaboration is everything. And now you've been in business for many years, without giving your age away, because you're amazing and have all this experience. What is the biggest challenge you faced if you look back on all, the years and where you're at now? What's the biggest challenge in building a business and staying devoted? Because, I know you have it from your parents, the devotion, but still it takes some skill and some resilience and some other few bits to stay in business, right? And to keep going and be devoted to helping others.
Resilience helps. That's for sure. Resilience helps. I think all of us were challenged by COVID. I think COVID, while it's kind of a word everybody kicks around, it literally separated people who were going to move forward from people who were going to get smashed down, and people were not able to recover their businesses. I was a practicing psychotherapist. I had numerous consultation things going on in different places that I could no longer do, and I basically in my network was encouraged, get out there on the internet. And I'm not like the youngest person in the world, and it doesn't come so easy. Some of it, when you're not, if you were in kindergarten and you were in computers, that's one thing, but I didn't have that. And so I had to take and figure out and pivot in a way, probably a pivot like a ballerina, I think spin more like a spin, or play spin the bottle. What's going to be, Zev? How are you going to do this? How are you going to take your psychotherapy practice? Because there's all kinds of litigation and stuff about therapy online, even though they made amazing concessions during COVID where you were able to do, and telehealth was really born in a different kind of way because of COVID, because they had to make, provisions for people who and so what happened with me is it was right after I had done this this retreat program that I was doing, with a famous hypnotist, and we were doing literally 3-day sex, intimacy retreats where we really got down into the stuff with couples, about why and how and strategies and things like that. And then right after that, COVID, bam. So you go from this high, thing where you're like rolling and you work so hard to get there. It's not like
you're ready to see it really.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, it's just a what are you going to do? So I basically realized that coaching, as opposed to straight up therapy was the place to go, and that's pretty much what I did. But it was challenging because you had to take your business and you had to kind of ride a fine line between what I was doing in psychotherapy, where we dig deep into the past, of people in coaching of the present, and what people are doing in the future. But my skills in psychotherapy have helped me amazingly to be able to do this, and I've always worked with people. So whether the people are in front of you or they were on a screen, I was still able to be the Zev and be able to understand what and kind of read. As a psychotherapist, you got to read the room. If you don't read the room, you're not gonna all kinds of there's a lot of stuff that can fly. So
and I think that's true for business as well. You got to read the room as well. And I know that you became, not just with psychotherapy, you also moved into success in terms of helping people become successful, right?
Right. That's right.
So not necessarily having deep problem and traumas necessarily, but although they still play in, of course. So what's a big challenge you've seen in terms of people, what's stopping them from being successful? What is it? Because I think it's mindset.
I think that there's a lot for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and the word failure. Maybe there's a lot of synonyms for failure, but people seem to keep that F word going. Failure is failure. It didn't work out. Damn it. It's terrible. And you have to deal with the days, hours, weeks, maybe even months of a project, that you spent a lot of time. I think there are two concepts. One is fail forward. Fail forward is a concept that has helped me. It's helped numerous people that I help. And it's basically, fall down on the ground, and pick yourself up, get back on, the horse, like I got back on planes, after experience that I had, because believe me.
Well done. I'm not sure I would.
I got right back on a plane after that, which is, when I look back, I question myself. And also another concept, deal with what transpires. There's a concept that I use that's, deal with what transpires. I learned it from, somebody else who called it deal with what emerges. The hypnotist, Marshall Silver, who's a famous hypnotist in the United States, who I was lucky enough to work with. And basically that means you got to deal, things are going to happen. And, as it comes, not, don't let it hit you in the face, push it back, take a look, take 5 steps back, read it, understand it, recognize it doesn't have to slay you. It doesn't have to conquer you. You can call forth your own powers, but the biggest power is to push and hold it. Like the finger in the dike. Holding the dam, just so that you can figure out how you're going to play. Because it the game all of a sudden changes, and you got to deal or not. It's a choice.
True. So is it about, because I think we as human beings, when you look at psychology and stuff, we like familiar, we like to stay in the same, even if it's not happy place, we're comfortable in the familiar, even if we're unhappy. So do you reckon, I'm just asking, you can tell me if I'm wrong, is it around learning to become more adaptable, learning to become more open to new things, I guess?
I think, adaptable is big. You have to, I'd throw the word flexible, flexible, be flexible, nimble, people who pivot, who are flexible, are able to take the hits that come in, because when you pivot, there's a rush of things you didn't account for. Oh, well, I didn't think of that. Like, well, what am I going to do? And you basically have to sleep on it and spend hours, and take walks, figure out, how are you going to deal with this particular aspect? I say the human can, if we have the right mindset, if we have a growth mindset, people kick that word around, but it's true. A growth mindset. It's the difference between living well on this planet or not. Because if you don't learn from your experiences and you're not able to go with that, forget about it. You're just going to be mediocre. And
Yeah.
mediocre doesn't sound good to me. So
No, make the
doesn't
most
have
of
a
life.
meaning.
Yeah, we all got superpowers. We all got something to add value to other people, and to use those superpowers. So what I kept thinking when you were talking was, I keep thinking like it's like move like water, become like water. So you're fluid, and you even water will always find a way through, right?
I think, look, humans can be very obstinate, and sometimes we spite our nose, I mean, we spite our face. You can't be. I think, the water example is true. Be flexible. And you can find a way that you'll, with your particular brand, with your particular way. You don't have to, jump off the, people go, you got to get out of your comfort zone. You gotta go out of your comfort zone. You're too comfortable. Well, do it at your own pace. People are
One step
scared.
at a time,
There's
hey?
fear. There's a lot of fear. Some people go, no, you need to take this giant jump. No, you don't. You need to take stepping stones, and you need to create them so that you can, it's not all comfortable, but why not be comfortable? Why not try to, create your own? Go to the store. It's like going to the store, and if stepping stones were hanging from the ceiling and you had to choose, what size, what do I need to make this work? And lay them down and walk one by one at your own pace. Don't let anybody push you. And you can go, you can leave your comfort zone, even with all the limiting beliefs, that people threw into your head or banged into your head, when you were in school or when you were, whatever it was. You can move forward, but create those stepping stones need to be unique. They're not general stepping stones. They're you. How do I attack this particular project, or how do I make this thing work?
And it's that, I think, for me, it sounds like, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. It sounds to me that this is actually part of how we create a growth mindset, because it sounds great. And growth mindset, like you said, is thrown around, but it is important. What is a growth mindset, and how do we get there? How do we
I,
embrace it?
we hold down the fort, while the storm. We weather the storm if we can. We don protective gear, and do whatever we got to do, and recognize that while we're doing that, there's growth. There's growth in just doing that. Then you have to decide, you're going to let this push you back against the wall, or you're going to keep stepping and climbing. It's a climb, it's a step, step one, step two, just step towards where you're going. Don't, take the baggage, because it's going to alert all kinds of baggage inside of you. It's going to be like, oh my God, I can't, throw it off, let it go, move up the mountain and travel lighter, because all that stuff in the backpack, that we carry, emotional baggage, is not going to help you in where you're going. It helped you get maybe to where you are. And we just, a lot of people, they don't tell us that in school. Oh, by the way, if you're dealing with math, or you're dealing with history, or you're dealing with the crazy stuff they teach at school now, then guess what? There's a time in your life that your childhood baggage needs to go, and we don't know when that is. And it's important for us to individually decide, I don't need that anymore because it's hindering me. That goes for everybody, because we all have it, whether we want to admit it or not.
And I just want to say, you're sharing so many truth from Royce is saying. Absolutely. I'll come back to you, Musi, very quickly, because I find this so fascinating as well. I burned out 10 years ago, didn't know what burnout was, just sat down and started crying, and then it became a personal development journey. And I will say it's actually what is driving my business. The more I develop myself, the better the business is. And I truly believe that I really believe we got to fix this. And what you're saying, we got to let go of that baggage. And one of the frameworks that I work a lot with, actually, both in marketing, because pharmaceutical loves this framework, but it's actually really called, I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, is the drama triangle, when we're playing inside when we're in the drama triangle, there's always a victim. I used to be the victim, didn't even know it from childhood. Yeah, just, it was my wounds. Yeah. And then inevitably, if you're a victim, you got to find a villain, and you got to find a hero or a rescuer. Yeah, because now you're taking away your power because you're sitting in victimhood, and which means you need someone else to be responsible for it, because otherwise you lose that identity. And for me, the biggest thing I've had to learn is to step out of that, to watch how that energy is playing out in different relationship, and it can be okay in one, but it's still there in another. And then working out, hold on, I'm not supposed to play here at all. No one is supposed to play here.
You bring up drama. Drama is a thing that follows everybody. Drama, there can be quiet drama, or there can be very loud, and raucous kind of drama. But drama moves us forward. It also helps us. Sometimes we have to add a little drama to add flavor to what we're trying to do. It's okay to do that. You're not exaggerating your services. You're basically, you're giving them the best version, even though they might not be up to that par yet. You're still doing that. But drama sometimes, and look, I work with couples. And I still, have a pretty significant amount of couples that I work with, and they, you bring up the familiar. People are drawn to the familiar, and it might be a hurtful, horrible familiar, but the familiar it is. I know that. I don't want to hear about anything new. Don't drop any new stuff on this. Because if you're a couples counselor or coach, you get a lot of that, because basically, there's three people in the room, and there's a guy out there or a woman easy to blame, easy, and you bring that up in that three. What did you call it? The
drama triangle with the victim, the villain, and the hero.
If it wouldn't been for you, if I would have made all that money, if it wouldn't have been for that blankety blank, guy, he just. We all need someone to blame. Playing the victim, is comfortable. It's a coping mechanism. It allows us, to deal with our own hurt, and also
and not be accountable sometimes.
Yeah, not be accountable and not deal with the person, the thing that really happened. But but drama, I found that sometimes couples, people, if you're looking to be promoted, or you're looking, to say something to your spouse that you're going to catch hell, about, that sometimes you have to throw in a little drama, make it, a little acting. I took a little acting purposely, took, I think, 3 or 4 different courses, improv, which was very uncomfortable for me, I have to tell you, acting, I think acting like a pregnant dentist, or whatever they ask you to do, in these things. And, it's kind of like it contorts you, but it also turns you into a much more open, and it's scary to get up there on the stage and to be, theatrical, and to throw your drama and to give it 1,000%. Not so easy,
No, but it is liberating, though. Hey,
I think
once you get there.
I think it was, after the fear, you're much stronger. If you can get up and deliver a monologue, or something like that, which you have to do in acting classes, one of the scariest things I've ever done. But I was different afterwards.
I imagine.
You come to understand the whole issue of status. There's something called status in acting, and that is the quietest person on the stage could be the most powerful. There could be all these people talking and and there's this one person who's just not saying a word, but they seem to be the person who you see as driving the whole train. So I think that you brought up drama. I like that triangle, and I think it's very useful, because it sounds like life.
Well, we all play it into something. We all play to it.
Yeah, it sounds like
it's life, right? We all play it, and the famous.
Sounds like life.
Yeah. And a lot of companies likes to use it for marketing, because guess what? Pharmaceutical, here's a villain, here's an illness. You're the victim, and now we've got the solution for you, right? I
Right.
just want to say from Musi. Musi says here, first and foremost, I'm deeply sorry for your loss, Seb. What is the secret to your youthfulness? That's his question. I remember watching your show 10 years ago. Save your marriage. You haven't changed a bit. Please share the secret. It's such a great pleasure seeing you and learning from you. That's from Musi. Thank you, Musi.
Because
You're
I
so kind.
promised myself, Musi, that I would never get old in my mind. And I think that's what the most important thing is that lucky for me, I have a spouse who feels the same. And it allows me to, I still believe in play. I still, think people need to play. They need to play with each other. They need to, play is an important thing that unfortunately is very undersold with adults, because
Yes.
it's not respected, or people, they go, "You're being immature." You hear that kind of thing. Why are you being so immature? Well, because you know what? Because that's where life, keep life. Life has many aspects. Be serious, be happy, and be a little crazy. And I've managed to keep the crazy. I'm no church mouse here. I was in school. The teachers, they all knew me. I got quieter when I got older. But when I was
But
young, I think I was pretty rambunctious. Yeah.
I love that. And I love the whole point of play because I know we say, well, that's my personal life. But no, no, no. It's important in innovation. It's important in business too. If you can't have fun and you're always about, I gotta get to the efficient solution, boom, 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 you're missing out on the whole divergent, creative, co-creation aspect of business, which is just to be open to play like young kids, like Lego, right?
Yeah, like
And
the
just be open
sandbox.
to
The
how can,
sandbox.
yeah,
The
how can you
sandbox is
do
like
things differently?
the sandbox is called the C-suite. The C-suite. It's a sandbox. How are you playing? Some people play nice, some people play dirty, some people play terrible, and some
Yeah.
people
And
are,
are you having fun?
but at least you can look at it. I mean, it's not all play and it's not all fun, but you got to keep that part of you. Or you'll,
Yeah.
and I see people much younger than me who seem to be old. It bothers me. That's one thing really bothers me. I go, why are they're so old, and they're not. I
Yeah.
mean, age wise, they're young, and they've just sunken into this horrendous thing that whatever it is, and you kind of have to light them up a little bit. I mean, you have to give a little push. Hello, what happened to your fun? What happened to your life? I mean, I got couples who they've stopped having fun, and if you know about couples, a lot of couples stop having fun. And so it's important to introduce fun and play and novelty and these, because it's really chemicals in our brain run us. It's what we do, like AI. If we throw the right prompt in your head, and I think it'll come out in ways that you want it to, just like AI. When you throw some bad prompts in and you look at it, it looks like Frankenstein. You just took my thing that I did and turned it into Frankenstein. That's amazing. It's just really about the prompts.
Yeah, I love that. Now we're going to finish up because I could talk to you forever. So I am starting a podcast next year. So maybe I can get you back for that, which would be a longer session recorded.
We'd
But
love
we're going
to.
to stop. Yeah, thank you. Because I love learning from you. So just before we finish up now, how can people reach out to you? What you got coming up, etc., including your
So,
podcast and with
so,
Sarah as well?
so we've been, I collaborate with, a partner, Sarah Polyakov. She lives in Washington State. I live in Washington, D.C. Area. And basically, we wrote a book, and the book is Discover Your Amazing Edge. It's available on Amazon. It's really a personal development book. You can start in any chapter. You don't have to start at the beginning, because it's really about building your success and taking a look at why and the people around you and the decisions, really important decisions you have to make. We have a podcast that's available on many different podcast platforms: iHeartRadio, Apple, Amazon. It's called the Discover Your Amazing Edge podcast, and it has two areas. One is Spicy Fridays, where we talk unabashedly and try to about real adult stuff, you know. And on Tuesday we have Mind Shift Happens, you know, and that basically is a personal development part. And we try to be as consistent, but life gets pretty busy. The one thing, we're about to unleash a new website, which is youramazingedge.com. It's out there. It's almost finished. And on there is a new program that we have called Velocity VIP. Velocity VIP is basically a program to help people deal with a crisis they might have fallen into. They don't necessarily want to go to a therapist, and hear about and dig into their past. They need confidential support right now, because they don't need lawyers. That they already have that. They need emotional. It's about their emotional. What happens when life collapses. It'd be nice to have someone in your corner, and that's kind of what Velocity VIP is. And we're building it. It's kind of fun and serious at the same time.
Well, it sounds amazing, because we all need someone to reach out to sometimes, right? We're not meant to do life completely on our own. I truly believe, whilst you might be able to, I don't think we're meant to. I think we're actually meant to build each other up. So that's so amazing that you got that. I think the website is actually also in the description for anyone listening. It's actually in the description further down, so they can find the link there as well to see your new website. So that's exciting. So thank you so much for your time, Zev. I really appreciate it.
Thank
and
you.
I couldn't wish for a better guest to have on my last one for 2025.
And look, happy holidays. Have a great time and enjoy. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.